Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, perhaps, depending on where you are. My name is Margot Chandler. Thank you very, very much for joining us. This is the Destination Australia Scholarships Information Session with the University of Queensland. I am from the Faculty of Science and I'm joined online here by my fabulous colleague, Miss Grace Lee, who's supporting in the chat today. Thank you very much for coming along. So we've got a lot of information to cover and we are here to help answer your questions. But before we do that, just a little bit of housekeeping to begin with. So today's webinar is being recorded and of course we will be sharing a copy of the webinar recording with you via email after today's session. As this is a Zoom webinar, we are not recording your video or audio for privacy reasons. But we would love to engage with you, so please use the Q&A or the question and answer function to ask questions right throughout today's event. The Q&A function is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are on a PC or tablet, if you're on a mobile, it might be at the top of your screen. If you click on that button, it should open up a panel and you can type in your questions. You can also use the chat function, but I would encourage you to put your questions, specific questions, into the Q&A button, please. And Grace is online to help answer right throughout today's session. Just before we move along, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which we meet today. On behalf of the University of Queensland, I pay our respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. Okay, so the purpose of today's webinar is to introduce you to the fabulous Destination Australia scholarships, which are on offer by the Australian Federal Government. For today's webinar, we're going to start off with a quick overview of the University of Queensland, taking a look at our Gatton campus in particular. This is where the Destination Australia Scholarship is eligible. So those programs that are eligible are offered via the Gatton campus. We'll then take a deep dive into the Destination Australia scholarships and look at the application process, the eligible programs, and of course, finally, other UQ scholarships that we have available to students. And also, we'd like to help answer your questions. So we'll do that at the end live and also throughout today's event. So let's get started. So what is the Destination Australia program? This is an Australian federal government program. It's funded by the Department of Education, Skills and Employment. And under the National Strategy for International Education 2025 is where this fabulous scholarship opportunity exists. This is a program which provides grants to selective Australian tertiary education providers, specifically in regional or rural areas of Australia. And the aim is to provide scholarships to both domestic and international students, while also promoting higher education in regional Australia. It aims to support the domestic and international students to study and live in regional Australia. These are really fantastic scholarships. They are valued at 15,000 Australian dollars per year of study, and that's up to 4 years in duration. It does depend on how many years your study program is scheduled to last. Again, the purpose is really to offer students from Australia and overseas the opportunity to undertake high quality education, training and research in regional Australia, and also to experience what it's really like living in regional and remote Australia. These are awarded, these scholarships are awarded by the successful education providers such as the University of Queensland, and the Department of Education really outlines and sets the eligibility criteria for these scholarships. UQ has been successful in receiving the Destination Australia Scholarship grants in 2020, 2021, and again in 2022. So we are really, really proud to be able to offer you these fantastic scholarships. Okay, before we get to know these scholarships a little bit better, let's first get to know UQ. Or the University of Queensland. So we're actually ranked in the world's top 50 universities. That is quite an accomplishment when you look at the fact that there's many, many thousands of universities worldwide. And UQ is one of Australia's leading research and teaching institutions. As of 2021, we have more than 55,000 students, including approximately 20,000 international students from more than 140 countries. This is a very multicultural and diverse university. We have one of Australia's largest PhD cohorts and around 7,200 full-time staff members who work across 3 campuses, 6 faculties, and more than 30 teaching and research sites, as well as 8 research institutes. And we're also today going to look at the Faculty of Science specifically. Now, the reason we're looking at the Faculty of Science at the University of Queensland is that we actually run the UQ Gatton campus, essentially. All of the programs that are on offer at the Gatton campus and that are eligible for the Destination Australia scholarships fall under the Faculty of Science. So we'll take a look at the programs and disciplines on offer here. You can see here at the Faculty of Science, the major disciplines that we have on offer. This list here includes the 6 schools under the Faculty of Science, as well as the Biomedical and Health Sciences discipline. And in 2021 and into 2022, UQ continues to place very highly in the international university rankings across a number of subjects and science disciplines. You can see here as well that we actually rank #1 in Australia for a number of science subjects, something that we are incredibly proud of as well. And we also happen to offer one of Australia's largest selections of science disciplines with over 120 different science degree options at both the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. You can see that indicated here at this slide. Of course, we're not going to go through every single one of these programs or disciplines, but if you want to take a look at our study disciplines, you can find them online at the website shown at the bottom of your screen here. The programs which are listed in bold here are those for which UQ's Destination Australia scholarships are available. So specifically agricultural science, equine science, veterinary technology, wildlife science, agribusiness, agricultural science, animal science as well. And looking at our faculty, we also have a fantastic multicultural, very diverse mix of staff and students. We have just over 9,000 students in total. Over a quarter of these are international students. We also have over 1,100 staff within the faculty. That includes academics who are your lecturers, teachers, and researchers, as well as professional staff like myself or Grace. We're also very, very diverse with 42% of our staff having been born overseas. And we are very, very proud to have graduated more than 57,000 science students so far. Now, looking at UQ's campuses very quickly here, you can see we've got those 3 beautiful campuses. These are the St. Lucia, Hurston and Gatton campuses. And the Faculty of Science is fortunate enough to teach across all 3 of these beautiful and purpose-built locations. We're not going to look in great detail at all of these. We will take a look at Gatton, just to say that St. Lucia is our main campus. It is based in the beautiful capital city of Queensland, which is Brisbane. And we also have a fantastic medical and clinical specialist campus, which is known as Hurston. But today we are going to be focusing on UQ's regional campus, the Gatton campus. So this is a fantastic campus located near the town of Gatton, which is just over an hour west of Brisbane. This campus offers a laid-back and friendly lifestyle with world-class teaching and research facilities, farms, a community garden, as well as sports facilities. And this purpose-built campus offers such a unique environment. You have these modern teaching and research facilities. You'll be in a fantastic modern lecture theatre or in a laboratory 1 second, and you'll walk outside and you're in amongst agricultural settings, as well as some really fantastic facilities as well. So our Gatton campus is home to UQ's School of Agriculture and Food Sciences, as well as the School of Veterinary Science. More than 2,000 students study at Gatton, with 450 of those students residing on campus. And approximately 25% of the Gatton student body are international students. You can take a campus tour. We'll be putting a link to that in the chat in just a moment. Now, you can do that virtually as well, I should say. It's a virtual tour. Getting to know what it's like studying and living at UQ Gatton. So where is Gatton? Australia is a really big place. You may or may not have heard of Queensland or Brisbane, but in particular, where is Gatton? Gatton is a beautiful township. It's about 1 hour's drive west of Brisbane. It has a population of approximately 7,000 people. It is a very, very multicultural population with over 30% of our residents in Gatton born overseas. And the main business centre of the local area called the Lockyer Valley is Gatton. It is known for its major industry being agriculture, specifically grains and vegetable crops. And the reason for this is that it's actually among the top 10 most fertile farming areas in the world. So it grows a very, very diverse range of commercial fruit and vegetables in this particular area. It's very friendly or in a fun way known as Australia's salad bowl, just because of its amazing fertile farming areas. And it has and supports a $160 million a year vegetable industry. This Gatton Township is actually located in between two larger regional towns or cities known as Ipswich and Toowoomba. They're both about 30 minutes drive, and they have all of the possible lifestyle amenities and facilities that you could need close to hand. And of course, UQ's Gatton campus is called Gatton because it's located only 10 minutes drive from the Gatton town centre. And the local area in Gatton itself actually offers supermarkets for groceries, cafes and food takeaways, takeaway shops, fast food such as McDonald's, KFC. You've also got parks and ovals, as well as private accommodation options. And of course, it's quite easy to access those local towns and townships of Toowoomba and Ipswich. There are private and public transport options, as well as I'll mention in a moment, an inter-campus bus that UQ offers for free. In terms of the facilities on the UQ Gatton campus, it is a wonderful campus to reside at, to study at, because it offers everything you could possibly need all on campus. You've got ATMs, cafes, restaurants, libraries, and study areas, as well as sporting facilities, a childcare centre, student clubs and societies, chaplaincy services, 24/7 security, medical services, as well as a UQ staff and graduates club, and even a community garden. There is on-campus long-term student accommodation with a 450-room residential college or dormitory, which is called the Halls of Residence. And as I mentioned before, there's a fantastic free inter-campus shuttle bus which UQ offers to students. It links the St. Lucia and Gatton campuses, and this operates 4 times daily during semester. We also offer free on-campus parking for students, and you can get to know the facilities and services available on campus via the link shown at the bottom of your screen. In terms of those accommodation options, I'll very, very quickly touch on this. As I mentioned, the main option is the halls of residence. This is where over a quarter of UQ's Gatton students actually reside on campus. But in addition, we also own and manage a number of houses on the UQ Gatton campus. These are within walking distance to your classrooms. And we, of course, prioritise students who are coming from regional Queensland or interstate or international students as well. We also happen to have a UQ accommodation service unit. So this is a fantastic unit which provides advice and information for students who might be wishing to rent privately in Australia. And of course, we maintain a database of available rental accommodation options in towns around the UQ Gatton campus. So this team can actually assist you if you're interested in share housing or privately renting in homes and townhouses in the local area. There's also some newly purpose-built student accommodation apartments available in the nearby towns of Ipswich and Toowoomba as well. And interesting fun fact, we also have a 14-room motel that we operate near the UQ Gatton campus. This, of course, is not suitable for long-term accommodation, but it's great for overnight stay or short-term visits, say, from family members. So we can assist you with these sorts of options, and we're going to dive into the halls of residence to get an idea of what that's like. This is our on-campus residential college. As I mentioned before, it has nearly 450 private rooms for students, and each one of these rooms is fully self-contained. It has data connections. You have access to communal areas such as kitchens, tutorial and study rooms, laundry facilities, as well as in-house pastoral care, peer support, and a variety of activities that can help you make friends while you're living there. You will enjoy access for free to UQ's sport and fitness and aquatic centres on campus. And of course, you can choose to include meal package options as well. This is available for an additional fee, but you can have some or all of your meals catered for you via the dining hall as well. And of course, if you want to take a look at the UQ Gatton halls of residence, you can take a look at the application process and what it's like living on campus via the website shown at the bottom of your screen. So as you can see, life at UQ Gatton is very, very diverse and engaging. You're very likely going to meet some fantastic friends and teachers while you're on campus. And to help you do that, we actually have the UQ Student Union clubs and societies. So these are a wide array of clubs, entertainment, and cultural and creative events that we offer via UQ's Student Union clubs and societies. There are over 220 clubs and societies across UQ. This helps to keep you engaged and connected through your study discipline, but also if you've got special interests or certain social activities. So it's a very, very diverse set of clubs and societies, everything from the Harry Potter club through to the wine and cheese or chocolate appreciation societies. Lots of fun things to do. But also the Gatton campus is home to a number of special interest clubs, including the Veterinary Student Association and the Gatton International Students Association as well. And there are, of course, a number of science-related student-run clubs and societies. This is just a really small sampling of those fantastic clubs and societies, and more information is on the UQ Union website shown at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so let's get back to the really important information, the key feature of today's webinar. Let's get to know the Destination Australia scholarships in more detail. So let's take a look first at the eligibility criteria. And I will encourage our audience, please, if you've got questions as we go through this, please put your questions into the question and answer area, and we'd be happy to help. To be eligible for these scholarships, you must, number one, be commencing as a new student in an eligible degree program at the UQ Gatton campus. So we will go through what those degree programs are in just a moment. But I should say that UQ alumni are also eligible to apply. So long as you are starting a new program of study at UQ, you're eligible. You must be studying full-time at the UQ Gatton campus for the duration of your program. You must also, this is very important, live in a regional location for the duration of your program. This is defined by the Australian federal government using something called the Australian Statistical Geography Standard Remoteness Structure. It's a very, very complicated way of saying the Australian federal government has a map, and they have defined areas which say this is a major capital city or this is a regional or remote area. So for this scholarship, you need to be living in an area that is considered regional. You must also apply for the scholarship by the deadline that is indicated during the application process. So you will not be automatically considered for this scholarship. You must actively apply. Another condition is that you must not hold another UQ scholarship or tuition fee discount. Now, I should say that some students might be lucky enough to apply for and be offered more than one scholarship at the same time. If that happens, you would have to pick between the two scholarships you've been offered. Okay, and of course, it's really important that you check the scholarship websites for full terms and conditions, and we'll take a closer look at these eligibility criteria in more detail later on. Okay, so first and foremost, what are the eligible programs? You can see these listed here. These are the eligible programs for the Destination Australia scholarships in 2022. So these are the Bachelor of Agricultural Science, the Bachelor of Equine Science, the Bachelor of Veterinary Technology, the Bachelor of Veterinary Science, and the Bachelor of Wildlife Science. These are the undergraduate programs. These scholarships are also available to the following postgraduate programs: the Master of Agribusiness, the Master of Agricultural Science, and also the Master of Animal Science. So if you're looking at doing any of these programs and you're a new student commencing one of these, you may be eligible for these scholarships. However, I will note one or two things. First and foremost, the Bachelor of Veterinary Science. This is a 5-year program. And it's important to mention that the Destination Australia scholarships only cover a maximum of 4 years funding. So this scholarship would not be offered to you in your final year of the Bachelor of Veterinary Science Honours program. And of course, we do need to seek special permission from the Australian Federal Government, the Department of Education, for veterinary science honours students to receive these scholarships. I should also say that dual degrees and the Bachelor of Agribusiness are unfortunately not eligible. The reason for this is that the certain components of the program do not meet the requirement that the course or program be fully delivered at a regional campus. So for the Bachelor of Agribusiness and also those dual degrees, there is a component of those programs taught at UQ St Lucia, and therefore they are not eligible. And also finally, the other thing to note here is that only the agronomy and horticulture fields of study under the Master of Agricultural Science are eligible for this particular scholarship. So if you're interested in doing the plant protection major within the Master of Agricultural Science, unfortunately, this is not eligible for the Destination Australia scholarships. And again, it doesn't meet the requirement that the program is fully delivered at a regional campus. So a big part of the plant protection field of study is delivered at the St Lucia campus as well as the Gatton campus. I will also point out that if you are looking at commencing any of these programs or you're thinking through your study options, the undergraduate programs that you see listed here only have one intake per year. So that is a semester one commencement for the undergraduate programs, and that means a February intake each year. The postgraduate programs you can see listed here, they start twice a year, both in semester one, which is a February commencement, and in semester two, which is a July commencement. Okay, let's take a look now at the application process. So to apply for the Destination Australia scholarship, you need to follow this order of application step-by-step process. First of all, you need to study to apply an eligible program at UQ. You can technically apply for the Destination Australia scholarships, but unless you have already applied to study an eligible program, you will not be considered for these scholarships. So your first step, if you are interested, is to apply to study at UQ in one of those eligible degree programs. You can do this or find more information about this on the UQ Future Students website shown. And if you're a domestic undergraduate student, so if you're about to commence a bachelor degree and you're an Australian or New Zealand citizen or permanent resident, you must apply via QTAC. This is the Queensland Tertiary Admissions Centre. If you are a domestic postgraduate student, you should apply direct to UQ. So this is if you're about to start a master's level program and you're an Australian citizen or a New Zealand citizen or permanent resident. If you are an international student, you're on a student visa, you need to apply via a UQ approved agent. So again, you can find more information about how to do this on the admissions website shown here at the moment. The next step is you will then receive an offer if you meet the entry requirements and the academic requirements to study in your chosen degree program. And when you receive that offer, you will receive a UQ student ID number. This is an 8-digit number starting with the number 4. There's an example there. That is what we need as part of your application for the Destination Australia scholarships. You may receive something called a conditional offer. If you have a conditional offer, it means that there are certain outstanding conditions that you must meet in order to satisfy the entry or academic requirements for the program. If you have a conditional offer, you must meet all of the conditions on your offer letter by the scholarship closing date. But you can still apply for the Destination Australia scholarships in the meantime if you hold that conditional offer. And the third step then is to complete your Destination Australia application form online. So this is an online application form. You fill out your personal details, and as part of this application, you would then submit a personal statement as well. So this is something where we really want to see who you are. We want to see a little bit about what makes you unique and why we should award this particular scholarship to you. So the personal statement is a 300-word statement you'll make, and it addresses the following questions. First of all, why are you interested in studying in a regional area of Australia? How have you contributed to your local community, and how do you plan to enrich the UQ Gatton community? And the third question is, of course, what influenced and motivated you to choose your intended study program? So there is no right or wrong way to write your personal statement. I would, however, say that the more you can show what you can offer, the more that you answer those particular questions, the more likely the selection committee is to really take a look at you and consider you for this particular scholarship. So make sure you're addressing those questions. So step 1, apply to study at UQ. Step 2, if you are meeting the entry requirements, then you'll receive an offer, and then you go and complete your Destination Australia Scholarship application form. And if you are lucky enough, you will be notified within the time frame advertised as part of the application form process. Okay, so another important question that I think we should look at in more detail is, what exactly is a regional location? Very, very important question. And for the purposes of this scholarship, a regional location is defined as an area that is outside a major city. So that is places like Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, or the Gold Coast. Major cities in Australia are typically located on the coastline. So it's a very, very, very big country. And of course, those are your major capital city areas. So regional is usually anything outside of those areas. The government funding received for the scholarship stipulates that for the duration of your scholarship, students must maintain ongoing residency. So that means you must live in a regional area of Australia as defined by something called the Australian Statistical Geographic Standard Remoteness Areas 2016. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense to many people, except maybe those who really understand what that map refers to. It is part of the Bureau of Statistics, actually, that defines that. But there's a really handy tool called the Health Workforce Locator Map. And what you can do is actually enter your details into this particular Health Workforce Locator Map, and it will show you a map of the regional categories of Australia. In the dark green here, you can see there are the major capital cities. As I mentioned, there's only a few of them in these dark green areas around here along the coastline. So you don't want to live in one of those areas for this scholarship. You want to live in the areas that are in these categories here. So lots of places to choose from. For the Destination Australia Scholarship, this is areas that are considered inner regional, outer regional, remote, or very remote. So anything that is not a major capital city of Australia. And of course, fortunately for you, UQ's Gatton campus is located in an area that is considered regional. So our Gatton programs mostly qualify for these scholarships. I should point out that unfortunately Brisbane and Ipswich cities, which are where UQ's main campus is in Brisbane, these are technically considered major cities and therefore not eligible residential locations for these scholarships. So if you are considering studying at Gatton and applying for these scholarships, you don't want to aim to live in Brisbane. If you're selected, you would need to live in an area that is considered regional. The good news is there are plenty of other great locations near UQ's Gatton campus where you can choose to live. Okay, and as I mentioned, you can actually put in a specific address into that regional, workforce locator map, and it will tell you which area your address falls into. So taking a look at this, as I mentioned, you don't need to be living in Gatton specifically. There are lots of locations you can live in. And I should also say, you do not need to live in a regional location of Australia before you apply. You can live in Brisbane, you can be based overseas and planning to come here for your studies. That's absolutely fine, you can apply. The condition is that you need to be willing to relocate to a regional location by the time you start your studies. So at the moment, for our next semester, this is mid-February, you would need to be living in a regional location of Australia. If you're successful, you'll then need to move to that suitable regional location by day one of your studies. So for semester one, that would be by the 21st of February, 2022. And please remember, you must live in a regional location for the duration of your UQ study program or your scholarship. So if you move outside of the regional location for any reason, the scholarship will be ceased. And each semester, you will need to provide proof of your residency in this regional location to the University of Queensland so that we can report to the Australian federal government on these scholarships. As I mentioned, you don't have to live just in the Gatton area. You can live in any location that's considered inner regional, outer regional, remote, or very remote. And so for places around Gatton, this includes nearby areas like Plainlands, Toowoomba, Rosewood, Tenterfield, Laws and Laidley, and even the western parts of Greater Ipswich. So please, please, please check the address that you are going to move into in the health workforce locator map if you're successful in receiving one of these scholarships. Okay. So another very important topic that I think it is worthwhile covering for our international students who might be joining us or watching this webinar. I know many of you have questions about Australia's international borders situation, and so I think it's very important that we give you some information and updates about our borders. I will point out that the information we are providing is correct as at today's date. So that is Tuesday, the 11th of January, 2022. And I will point out that this information is subject to change and the situation can change quite rapidly. So please make sure that you check the information on the websites we will give you throughout this additional information here. So many of you will probably be aware that the Australian federal government announced that from the 15th of December 2021, international students holding a valid student visa will no longer be required to apply for an exemption to enter Australia. You still must follow the conditions that are set, and these are that you are fully vaccinated with a completed dosage of a vaccine approved or recognised by Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration. This is the TGA. You must also hold a valid student visa. You must provide proof of your vaccination status and present a negative COVID PCR test taken within 3 days of your departure. And of course, it's very important that you do check out the information not only for Australia, but also the states that you might be coming into. Australia is a federation of states. We have a number of states and territories, and Queensland, of course, has its own state government and state government rules around entering Queensland. So on the 6th of December 2021, Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk announced that the borders have reopened from the 13th of December. So what that means is that international students can come into Queensland, but there's a couple of different ways to do this. Once we hit a certain point, then those restrictions or requirements will change a little bit, and we'll go through those in just a moment. Okay. So at the moment, there are 3 ways to enter Queensland. The first way is to travel through to another state or territory of Australia. Most students are looking at going through places like Sydney or Melbourne. So you'll come from overseas into Sydney or Melbourne, for example, and you will stay in these areas for 14 days. In these states, the reason that some students are looking to go via Sydney or Melbourne or New South Wales and Victoria, as the states are known, is that at the moment, there's no need for quarantining. So you can actually stay pretty much anywhere you'd like in those states, and then after 14 days, you can then enter Brisbane. So once you enter Queensland or Brisbane, there's no quarantine if you've spent 14 days in either New South Wales, Victoria, or another eligible state or territory of Australia. That's option one. Then the second option is to come directly from overseas into Brisbane. This is allowed at the moment. This is really, really fantastic to see. And we've got many, many international students who've been choosing both these options. If you're coming directly into Queensland or into Brisbane, you do at the moment need to stay in hotel quarantine for 14 days. So this involves you submitting a Queensland International Arrival registration form prior to your trip to Queensland. And then you have to go through the appropriate government rules and directives to follow that quarantine. My understanding is that they help to organise that for you. It is a specific government arranged quarantine at the moment. So you can come into Brisbane at the moment, but you do need to quarantine for 14 days. Now, this is very likely going to change very soon, I hope, very, very soon, because the third option is that you can come directly from overseas into Brisbane or Queensland with no quarantine, no entry declaration form, but only once Queensland reaches 90% fully vaccinated rate. And checking very, very recently, we are sitting at 87.9% fully vaccinated at the moment in Queensland. So we're so, so close. And unfortunately, what that does mean is there's no set date as to when that will happen. It's just when statistically we hit that 90% fully vaccinated rate. It is anticipated that that may happen in mid to late January. So please watch this space. Please continue to monitor the websites that we will present in just a moment. And I should say, the website shown at the bottom of your screen is incredibly important if you're an international student. This is UQ's updated information for international students who are coming to Australia. This website is where all the key information is about what you need to do, where you can get help, who you should contact if you have questions around preparing for your travel, your visas, your flights, your accommodation, your quarantine questions, anything. Please refer to this website first and foremost, and you'll see the correct contact people as well via this website. I should also let you know that at the moment, UQ is running or preparing to run a series of information sessions online. So this is called Preparing to Start at UQ. This is useful, I would say, for students who are either domestic or international. Probably has an element of international student information in there. But again, it's just to cover both sets of students in helping to prepare you. These are really useful sessions that are running throughout mid-Jan all the way through to mid-February. And really the aim of these is to support your transition both back to our campuses, but also to UQ as a new student. And at these sessions, our student advisors will be providing information on enrolling and timetabling, accommodation options in Brisbane, what you can expect in the first few weeks at UQ, and also some of the essential modules or UQ essential modules that you'll have to complete online, particularly for international students, but there's some helpful information there too for domestic students. So please make sure that you register for these sessions. You need to go to the Preparing for UQ website that is shown on this slide to register for these sessions, and you will be invited to attend sessions at times that are convenient to you. I would like to acknowledge as well that we are very much aware that this is a very challenging time and has been a very challenging time for, in particular, our international students who have not been able to come to Australia as they'd hoped, but also for everyone. Our domestic students, whether you're a high school leaver or maybe you're looking to return to studies, I think the last couple of years has shown just how challenging some things can be, how unprecedented and unpredictable things can be. It's just so wonderful that we can welcome you back to campus, welcome you to Australia. And I am also acutely aware that we cannot always provide the certainty that students are looking for in information and advice. And we're very, very grateful for your patience and understanding as UQ and the governments continue to work through the plans for everybody's safe return to campus. We are continuing to update the websites that we have listed, our Returning to Campus webpage, and also our COVID frequently asked questions webpage for students and parents. These websites are very, very useful, and we continue to update them as this additional information comes through. And I really, really want to stress that it's important that you regularly check these websites for updates because the information can change. So the key websites that I would encourage, in particular, international students to check, but this can also be helpful for domestic students as well, are listed on your screen as follows. The first and foremost is the UQ International Students Update to Returning on Campus website. That is the key website for you. The next one is that Frequently Asked Questions student website to do with COVID-19. That has a lot of the common questions, and you can search through for information about study, travel, all sorts of information, accommodation, where you can get assistance. The UQ Student Services team is also exceptionally helpful. They have international advisors who can assist you with your specific questions as well. And also, I would encourage you to look at some of the government websites. So take a look at the Queensland government website for the latest on our vaccination rates, our border situation, and the rules on entering Queensland. Also, the federal government has some really important information on the Department of Home Affairs website. So this is our immigration body, Department of Home Affairs. They have information about visas, so your student visa, the visa processing timeframes, and also the international student arrivals plans and rules. And also, you can find information about the recognised COVID-19 vaccines that are approved for international students coming to Australia via the Therapeutic Goods Association website that we will put into the chat in just a moment. Now, please, 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 if you've got questions about this, speak with the UQ Student Services team. You can see their contact details are listed on the slide shown at the moment. Emails can take a little bit of time. They do have people who are getting back to you as quickly as they possibly can, but they are getting a lot of questions at the moment. So please allow a couple of days for a response to emails. You can also phone them during business hours, which is Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Brisbane time. Make sure to convert the time zones if you are currently based overseas. Make sure you're checking the equivalent times. And also via their website that we've listed in the chat, you can also live chat online with a representative there during business hours. So please refer to these websites. They are very helpful, and the information can change, so check regularly, please. Okay, so this information really applies to all our students, but I wanted to cover off on some of the key dates, particularly if you're looking to study at UQ in semester 1 of 2022. It's not far away, it's in February, very close now. So at the moment, applications are still open for you to start in semester 1. The key dates that I will point out here are the last date for international students to apply for a Destination Australia scholarship is this Sunday, the 16th of January, 2022. So if you haven't put in your application yet, please put through your application to study at UQ and put in your Destination Australia Scholarship application before this Sunday. If you are a domestic student, so if you're an Australian citizen or PR, permanent resident, or if you're a New Zealand citizen, the last date for you to apply for the Destination Australia scholarships is a little bit later. It is Sunday, the 30th of January, 2022. And again, this is just if you're looking to study in semester 1 of this year. So a couple of other key dates that you may want to observe. There's some compulsory sessions that you should be coming along to, particularly in early and mid-February. So for the Faculty of Science, we're running program information sessions. These are academic advisor sessions almost. They are presentations by your program directors, and they are specific information to your program. So it will tell you everything you need to know about what subjects or courses do I pick, what assessments are involved, what can I do with this particular degree or qualification. They're really, really useful sessions, and they are compulsory to attend. They are being held online in the week of 7th to the 11th of February. You will not be invited to attend these sessions unless you have accepted your offer to study at the University of Queensland, most likely by January. So we will continue to let you know about these sessions, and you can find out more about this, of course, through the orientation, UQ orientation website too. The next really key date for you to observe is that we have Orientation Week, which is also known as O Week. This is a compulsory week of activities and events, not all week long necessarily. You don't have to come to campus or attend online sessions all week, but you do have a number of important activities throughout that week. And that is running from the 14th to the 18th of February, the week before you start classes officially at UQ in semester 1. So again, you will be invited to attend those really important and compulsory orientation sessions once you have accepted your offer. So please don't delay. It is recommended that you accept your offer as soon as possible so that you're invited to attend these key events in time for you to register. I should also point out that classes commence on the 21st of February, and the due date for international students to enroll is actually the 18th of February. My apologies, I think I've missed the domestic student due date on there, but you can find all of this information on the UQ academic calendar website that's shown on your screens here at the bottom, and also in the chat in a moment. So again, make sure you're looking through this particular academic calendar for these key events and information. Another very important date to note is the census date. Now, this applies to domestic and international students. This is the last date that you can drop your courses or cancel enrollment without financial liability. And also, this is the date that we will run an enrollment verification, an enrollment check, and after that date is when you would be paid your Destination Australia scholarship if you are successful in applying. So make sure you note these key dates. Okay. So let's take a look again at the application deadlines and some additional information. I will separate this out by domestic and international students just because there are some different sets of information. So if you are an Australian or New Zealand citizen or an Australian permanent resident, this information is for you. So of course, your Destination Australia scholarships are valued at up to 15,000 Australian dollars per year. That is an amazing supporting scholarship to help you through your studies. It is available to you for up to 4 years if you're an undergraduate student, and up to 2 years for a postgraduate student. It is awarded for the duration of your program, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So maximum is 4 years for bachelor degrees and maximum 2 years for master's degrees. Applications are currently open for semester 1, and the closing date, very important, Sunday, the 30th of January, 2022. It closes at midnight on the Sunday, or 11:59 p.m. Brisbane time, Queensland time, not Sydney, Melbourne, anywhere else in Australia time, Brisbane time. Make sure you don't wait till the last minute. And of course, if you're looking to study in semester 2, we do have applications that will open for you probably in mid to late February, and those applications would close in late June of 2022. So keep an eye out. You won't be able to apply just yet if you're starting in semester 2. You will need to wait until mid to late February. You must be commencing a new program. It can be undergraduate or postgraduate, but it must be a program fully delivered at the Gatton campus. So please, please, please make sure that you check your eligibility. And of course, you can apply via the website shown on your screen and that Grace has very kindly put into the chat there. You can also find the terms and conditions, which I would encourage you to read through via the website that is listed there. Okay, for our international students, this is your information. So if you are on a student visa, if you are coming to Australia for your studies, if you're already in Australia for your studies, this information applies to you. So again, the scholarships are also 15,000 Australian dollars per year for the duration of your program. So again, that is a maximum of 4 years if you are doing an undergraduate program, and a maximum of 2 years for a postgraduate program. The applications are currently open. However, they close on Sunday, this Sunday, the 16th of January, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. This is Brisbane local time, Australian Eastern Standard Time, AEST. So for international students, please pay careful attention to the time zone differences if you are applying from elsewhere in the world, if you're offshore outside of Australia at the moment. Don't leave it until late in the day only to find out that Australia is 8 hours ahead of you. Make sure you apply nice and early. Okay, so again, this is the application deadline this Sunday, the 16th of January, if you are starting in semester 1, which is February intake. If you are looking to study at UQ in semester 2, the applications will open in mid to late February. And again, they will close in mid-June. So slightly different opening and closing dates. But if you're starting in semester 2, just wait until mid-February or so, and you will be able to apply. Again, you must be a new student to UQ or starting a new program at UQ if you're an alumni. You must be studying a program fully delivered at the UQ Gatton campus. And again, you can apply via this website shown at the bottom of your screen, which Grace has very kindly put into the chat right now. And again, I strongly encourage you to read through the terms and conditions to make sure you understand the eligibility criteria in full. Okay. A couple of frequently asked questions that may have come up and may be of interest. So, unfortunately, these scholarships cannot be deferred. So if you are offered one of these scholarships, you must accept the scholarship in the semester you were due to commence. Otherwise, you would need to reapply if you choose to defer your studies. And there's no guarantee necessarily that you'll be selected again. You'd have to go through the entire application process once again. Please, please, please make sure you read the terms and conditions that are available on the scholarship website. They are right at the bottom of the scholarship pages. You have to scroll right to the bottom to open up a PDF document and read through. These terms and conditions may be updated from time to time if we receive advice or directives from the Australian Government Department of Education. So please make sure you're checking for current information. For 2022, at the moment, we are unable to confirm the available number of scholarships per semester. We do have confirmation from the Department of Education that we have scholarships available in the 2022 round. We're just waiting final advice as to which study levels these particular scholarships apply to. In terms of finding out the results of your scholarship application, we will aim to let you know if you're an international student within 2 weeks of the scholarship closing date. Now, that is a very, very tight turnaround for a selection committee to gather, to look through everybody's scholarship applications, but our aim is within 2 weeks. So if you are an international student, you should be hearing from us say around the 31st of January or the 1st of February for semester 1. If you are a domestic student applying for semester 1, we list a maximum of 6 weeks after the scholarship closing date. However, it's likely to be a lot sooner than that. It's more realistically 3-4 weeks that we let students know. We do reserve the right to take a little bit longer if necessary in notifying all applicants about the outcome, but we do our best to let you know within those timeframes. You would receive, if you are successful, you would receive the payment of your scholarship to your nominated Australian bank account after the census date for the semester you commence in. So for semester 1, you would receive your scholarship payment after the 31st of March. That's the date that we do an enrollment check. We verify, yes, you are definitely studying appropriately, and yes, you're living in a regional area. We can release the scholarship funds to you, and that can take a little bit of time, a couple of weeks after that date, for the payment to arrive in your bank account. Students are typically paid in $7,500 installments per semester of study. So you receive part of your scholarship each semester. And I should also point out as well, this is very important, that, my apologies, I'll go back one slide. This is very, very important. Online study is not permitted under any circumstances by the Department of Education. So if you are looking to study this particular program at UQ Gatton and apply for this scholarship, it's okay if you start enrolling before semester starts, before you receive the scholarship offer in external mode. However, you should very much aim to come to Australia, start your studies on time, in person, and enroll in internal study mode. So that is face-to-face classes, attending in-person classes on the Gatton campus, so that we can make sure that you can receive this scholarship. I do understand there's some questions around this. We may try to address these in the chat or live in just a moment. We can go into some more information there. Okay. I should also say that in the terms and conditions, you may see some references to if there's study outside of a regional area, that sometimes there can be permission from the Department of Education to study a certain portion of your degree online. For the vast majority of these programs, this does not apply. It must be internal study mode. You must be studying courses available at the Gatton campus. So please, please, please make sure you adhere to that. Okay. Now, finally, I should say that UQ does have a wide range of other scholarships. We're happy to take your questions about these scholarships, the Destination Australia scholarships and UQ's other scholarships, or about programs, any other questions you've got in just a moment. But in the meantime, please head to the UQ scholarships website. This has our full listing of available scholarships, and you can search by nationality, study discipline, or program area, and you can see all of the scholarships available to domestic and international students on this website. Okay, we're getting close to the end, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us, and thanks for all those students who've attended and put questions on. Just a couple of key reminders about preparing for your studies this semester. We have a couple of useful web pages shown here about the frequently asked questions and how you can prepare to study. So these websites in particular, the top two, they give you information about the different study modes and options available to you, and what internal or external study mode means. If you're an international student, I would encourage you to go to the third website shown. You can find the full suite of student support services available to you as an international student. And also, if you just sort of look at the first half of this website, if you're a domestic student, there's lots of student support services available to you as well. And of course, another very key website, the Department of Home Affairs website for international students there too. We also have a few key links here that are specific for science students. We have a really useful tool called the Science Study Planner. This website provides you with a list of the recommended courses or subjects that you should enroll in each semester. So you can find your program and it will guide you through the courses that you should be enrolling in. It's a really useful tool to plan your studies each semester. The Careers That Started in Science website has some fantastic alumni and graduate profiles. So if you want to get a flavor for what you can do with your degree after you graduate, that's a fantastic website. We've also got an academic help and support team. So the Faculty of Science has a fantastic student and academic support team. They are available to assist you, and this website has a lot of great information there too. We also have a very fantastic student experience team. So these bodies will help you to answer your academic questions as well as your extracurricular questions. The student experience team helps run some fantastic leadership and mentoring programs and activities all throughout your studies. And of course, as we've mentioned before, UQ has over 220 clubs and societies. So take a look at that website there. Okay, this is just a very quick example of the Science Study Planner website. Please go here. It really will help guide you through your studies so you can complete in the shortest time frame possible and make sure you're answering all the requirements of your program as you go through each course. Okay, and just very, very finally, an upcoming shout out to for our Science Starter program. This is a program we're running in particular for international students. However, domestic students are also welcome to attend. This is a webinar series that we're running at the moment. It started in September 2021 and it runs right through until February and March of 2022. And it's really designed to help students make an informed choice about their studies and to help them settle in as a new student at UQ. We've already run 3 of the sessions, but we have another webinar coming up this weekend. It is the last one before you officially start at UQ. If you'd like to register for these webinars, you can go to the website shown just here. And if you've missed the previous webinars, don't worry, you can access all of the recording and content, including the slides, via the website shown at the bottom of your screen here, which Grace is very kindly putting into the chat. So the upcoming events for this particular program, we have one this Saturday, the 15th of January from 3:30 p.m. Brisbane AEST time. You can register via the websites corresponding here. And of course, once you commence, we are here to check in with you. So at the end of week 1 on Saturday, the 26th of February, we will have our first check-in. And at the end of week 2, we also have another check-in with you just to see how it's going, to make sure you know where to get help and support and advice. So please register for each of these webinars. Okay. So I've done a lot of talking. I would love to answer your specific questions in the chat, and we are available right now to help answer your questions about the Destination Australia Scholarship, about other UQ scholarships, about our programs. Any questions you might have, we are happy to help you. And as we prepare to take those questions, I'd also like to provide you with our contact details. So if you have questions about any of the information in this webinar, if you have questions about the Destination Australia Scholarship, you can contact us, myself and Miss Grace Lee, the Science International Engagement team, via the website shown on your screen, or sorry, I should say the email address shown on your screen. It is science.international@uq.edu.au, and we'd be very, very happy to help answer your questions. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen, I will stop talking, and I will start answering. Okay, so Grace, you've done a wonderful job. Thank you for answering all those questions. And thank you very much, Geraldine, for coming along. You're very welcome. Thanks for attending. I can see we have an open question from an international student. They are asking if they're chosen for this scholarship, but they're unable to arrive in Australia or decide to start the semester in external mode. Would they be able to keep the eligibility for this scholarship, or will the scholarship resume once they've arrived to UQ Gatton? Really, really, really good question. This one is a little tricky. It may depend on when you are coming to Australia. As we mentioned before, at the moment, there are some quarantine arrangements in place. So it can take an additional 14 days to be allowed into Brisbane at the moment. That may change very soon. But you need to factor that in. The other element to consider is if you are serious about applying for and possibly receiving this scholarship, you need to weigh up whether or not you want to make the move to Australia as soon as you can, so that you can start the semester in internal mode. My understanding is that you really would need to start the semester in internal mode. We could check with the Department of Education on an individual case-by-case basis about whether or not you could start the semester in external mode and then change over to internal mode a couple of weeks into the semester. However, I'm sure there is a cutoff point they would have in allowing this. So yeah, please don't rely on the idea that you can just show up whenever. If you're serious about starting your studies in semester 1, I would strongly encourage you to consider coming to Australia as quickly as you can, and starting your studies in internal mode at Gatton as quickly as you possibly can. I know that flights are a little bit expensive. That is a factor at the moment. I know availability. I know some students have been, not just for this scholarship, but for all programs, have been considering waiting until Queensland gets to the 90% so they don't have to quarantine. You really have to factor in all of your own personal circumstances, what flight availabilities there are, how committed you are to applying for this scholarship. And you have to make an individual decision for yourself. But please keep in mind that the rule is technically from the Department of Education that you need to be studying internally, face-to-face, in person, full-time at the UQ Gatton campus for this particular scholarship. I think that answers the question. Grace, do you have anything you would like to add to that, or that you think maybe would be helpful?
I think you have covered everything. The only thing is I don't think as you said, that the scholarship cannot be deferred. So if someone's been offered this scholarship and cannot make their way coming to Brisbane to commence the internal mode, then they'll have to reapply.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very good point. Again, if this happens to be the case, if you are successful and you're unable to get here before the start of semester, we can try seeking a case-by-case advice from the Department of Education, but there's no guarantee as to what their ruling would be, and we have to abide by their rules. So again, I would strongly encourage you to consider that and factor that in making your decision, both the deferral rules and also the internal face-to-face study at Gatton as well. Oh, thank you, Jane. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for attending. I hope that that was helpful to you. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody, for coming along. We truly appreciate your time, and I'm wishing every single one of you the best of luck in applying for these scholarships, and perhaps with other UQ scholarships as well. And we are so looking forward to welcoming you to UQ. Please reach out if you've got any questions, and we wish you every success for 2022.